Hi, I'm John McFadden. I'm a Presbyterian minister, a psychotherapist, and a counselor at large in Redwoods Presbytery. I've written a book that is intended to be agreeable to Christians and members of other religions, but also to secular humanists. I'd like your reactions to it. It's called A Catalyst of Our Salvation, Unconditional Explanatory Empathy. I created the name Unconditional Explanatory Empathy for a method I learned in my secular postgraduate studies and then elaborated in this book. But uncannily so, it's perfectly represented in Jesus' last 7 words as conveyed in the book of Luke. As Jesus was dying, he said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." The gift to humanity is unconditional. This gift is, in that it's directed at the soldiers who were like what we would call sociopaths, horrible people. The idea is if they were entitled to his forgiveness, then all of us are. No exceptions. Unconditional. For they know not what they do is also explanatory. They know not what they do explains both why the soldiers were entitled to his forgiveness and why they did horrible things. And it's echoed in modern psychology, this idea is, when we say that self knowledge is crucial. If you don't know where the brakes and gas pedals of your emotions and behavior are, it's difficult to feel and behave well. These last words also are empathetic. Empathy is not just about being caring, it has a tough minded purpose. It relieves shaming ideas. That's what's special about this book. Empathy relieves shaming ideas that many of us believe are at the root of all mood and behavior problems. Here's a personal example of which there are many in this book. I got angry at a friend for no apparent reason. He came to me later and said, "I understand why you were so angry. You were very stressed out at work and at home, and so it's no wonder that you became angry for no apparent reason." What's most familiar about what he did is that he was caring. I felt like hugging him. What's not usually appreciated is that his words relieved me of shame. You see, I harbored, still do, shaming thoughts about myself for being angry, that I was a jerk, unkind, and so on. I've had people say, "Because you get angry, you must not be a good therapist." Now, there's a good shaming idea. Well, my friend, in just a few words, put the lie to the many shaming ideas I've absorbed from our culture. His empathetic explanation at least stalemated my shaming ideas and thus relieved me of the shame, the pain feeling that the shaming ideas cause. I also was able to change my behavior. I no longer felt like distracting myself from the upsetting feeling because it wasn't there. If it had continued, I probably would have had a third cup of coffee. It turns out that this simple formula applies to all levels of all human problems. Although I learned and helped develop this idea within my secular psychology discipline, it's uncanny how Jesus on the cross perfectly manifested it. More uncanny still, this formula applies to people very much like the sociopathic soldiers he empathized with. That is especially unusual in this book. After showing in detail how this method works with difficult but relatable psychotherapy patients, I report how it works even with criminal, violent sociopaths who were quote unquote saved by an ex-convict's profoundly empathic words. By saved, I mean taken off a bad path and put on a good path. And then I show how in Europe and here, even white nationals, the people who are threatening to tear our country apart, are being transformed, often in the most touching terms. One of them explains what changed him, saying, "I received empathy when I felt I least deserved it." The detailed, often touching stories about these once horrible people are mustard seeds of how our national left-right conflict can be lessened to tolerable levels. I present empathetic speeches I wrote on behalf of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Obama, in particular, is deeply committed to the use of empathy, but his conception of it is not unconditional. and he could benefit from learning some of the sophisticated but relatable versions of it I show throughout this book and in the speech I wrote on his behalf. I have endorsements for my manuscript from secular professionals and lay people, but to go forward to publishers, I feel I need what I've written is acceptable to Christians. I very much need your feedback. You can phone me to discuss only this video if you wish at 415-722-5860, or you can email me for a copy of the manuscript at johnhughmcfadden@hotmail.com and I'll respond to that. Thanks for your time.